All right, technical difficulties. Thanks you everybody for coming in. I'm gonna see if I can get it to play fair.
Technical difficulties. Thanks you everybody for coming in.
Oh, straight echo. All right, sorry about that. Not having any sound there. Hopefully I can fix it. All right, having technical issues. Let me see if I can fix it. I'm not sure why it's not picking up the audio. I may just have to do an upload premiere. Really wanted to do a quick live before I went to bed. Let me see. I don't think it's gonna let me try one more thing here. Hey y'all, True Crime with Sunshine. So I want to talk about a case that happened. Well, I guess this actually is one of those tangled webs we weave. This is long going, big family. You got murder, mystery, unsolved murders, hitmen, money, strange, unexplained death, or so-called explained. Money stolen, the barred lawyer, the name. I'm talking about the Alex Murdaugh case, guys. This one's a doozy. So, when this case first crossed my Twitter, I will be honest and say that no, I was working on a missing case and I was pretty engulfed in that case and a few other cases. So, I did share the story but did not get into covering it deep. However, this trial has started. Jury selection day 2 is today. Today is January 24th, 2023. And let me tell y'all what, we got meat, taters, and peaches in this one. So we'll just get right in there and get started. So on your screen here, you do see a portion of the Murdaugh family. This is Paul, Maggie, and Alex Murdaugh. In Hampton, South Carolina, we have boat crash, dead housekeeper, a dead wife and son, all wrapped around this family name, and more to come. It's very sad to think. As I said, this is Hampton, South Carolina, and this is the Murdaugh estate. It's a lot bigger than that, but this is an aerial view of the house. It's got a real nice brick gate. So guys, who you see on your screen here is Stephen Smith. This is an unsolved murder from 2015. He was found on the side of the road with blunt force trauma to his head. It's pretty graphic. Originally it was said to be a hit and run. The investigations that I've done and some of the opinions that I've heard was pretty graphic. On your screen you do see his mother holding a picture because his case is resurfaced. This happened in 2015. He was 19 years old. He was going to college as a nurse. His end game was to be a doctor. It was said that he ran out of gas and was walking down the road. Friends of his that I heard as I was doing my research said that he would have never been walking down the road. Investigators that I was able to find interviews on stated that they felt as if he had been dumped there. So we have that. Buster, the oldest son, we'll hear about him towards the end of the video. Went to school with Stephen, was around about the same age. Alex Murdaugh and his brother Randy were seen on the scene, said across the crime tape. Why? Randy called the family the next day and offered any kind of help that he could give. However, now Randy's law firm is denying that allegation. Okay, so we know that on June the 2nd, 2021, there was a 911 call Alex made at 10:07 p.m. We'll hear that 911 call. The story keeps going. On your screen here you see Miss Gloria Satterfield. She was the nanny and the housekeeper. She was with the family for 20 years. This happened in 2018. She fell down the stairs, tripped over dogs, and she was going to pick up her paycheck one morning. And there was a 911 call. We'll hear that later on in the video as well, where you can hear say she can't talk. She's bleeding from her head. So Alex Murdaugh, her unexpected death in his home, he decided to have a colleague of his sue himself for $4 million the family never saw because Alex Murdaugh stole the money from Gloria Satterfield's surviving children. The story keeps going. So here we have Mallory Beach was unalived in a 2019 boat crash. The picture in the top left-hand corner shows a stop at a bar. There was also a stop at a convenience store with a fake ID where Paul Murdaugh, may rest in peace, had purchased alcoholic beverages to back on the boat. So the boats you see here on the screen, top right-hand corner, is the damage to the boat when they hit the pylons. May Mallory rest in peace. Pictures that you see here are Paul with the boat. That family is still waiting for their settlement and justice. Altogether, so far, what's been publicized is at least $10 million stolen and millions still unaccounted for. There has been talk and speculation about an opioid addiction. Alright guys, so here on your screen you see Alex Murdaugh. Alex Murdaugh is from a very well-known family in that part of South Carolina. They are a family of lawyers. I actually read in an article that the judge made changes in the courtroom and had Mr. Murdaugh's family removed from the pictures on the courtroom walls that had hung there for years. Just to give you guys a little bit of an insight into the case, so Maggie was shot with a rifle multiple times. Paul was shot with a gun in the chest on the property, the estate. A few months after, in September of 2021, there was a 911 call made where Alex Murdaugh was a flat tire on the side of the road and reported that someone stopped to help him and they shot at him, so he shot back at them. He was taken to the ER. It was said that Alex had paid a cousin, Curtis, to kill him for the son, Buster, the one I said we'll hear about later on in the video, for the money from the estate to make sure he could continue living the lifestyle that he knows. Mr. Murdaugh is filed against him and is facing over 100 counts of legal issues over money. In July of 2022, Alex was charged with the murder of his wife, Maggie Murdaugh, and his son, Paul Murdaugh, his youngest son, by the way. As far as the evidence that's been publicized so far, before the court trials and evidence hearings started, we had blood splatter video, DNA at the murder scene, the wife and son's murder. However, there's one little piece. The shirt that he was wearing was a white t-shirt, and it has been tested to the point of it can't be tested anymore. There was a chemical used, and the chemical comes, I should have took a note, and I do apologize, but there was a chemical used that turned the entire shirt to a purple hue. And they also feel like that they maybe won't get positive DNA information, so the defense can't test the shirt because the prosecution has used the whole shirt up. And if you do follow true crime, this is not something that just, oh, well, it happened this one time in this case. That's not how that happens. So it does happen more often than you think. The murder happened on the property. It was far away from the house. Allegedly, Alex was not there. Allegedly, Curtis, the cousin was the one that was hired to unalive them. So I did find some good articles and stuff that I wanted to share with you guys on the case, and a few good articles that I wanted to read. Thank you everybody that did go through the slide with me and my short informational that I had there for everybody, that I kind of wanted to just give a little bit of background on the family and give a little bit of background on exactly what kind of was underlying just the trial that we're seeing now and what that trial has brought about. So this is actually a video, so I'm going to mute out and pop off for a second while I let this run. This is about the murder trial that we are going to be covering on my channel. This is actually going to be a case I'm going to probably stick with and follow. I am working during the day, so it will be, like I said, a night trial kind of thing. I will be running the trials at night and, commentating, give my opinion, etc. So thank you everybody for being here. So I do want to make sure that I appreciate everybody, make sure that I let you know, guys, how important you are to the channel.
If you're from the South Carolina Low Country, the name Murdaugh it's not just above the law, it is the law. They are law and order. Alex Murdaugh is a disbarred South Carolina attorney, and his most serious charges are the murder of his wife Maggie and his youngest son Paul. The Murdaugh family kind of came into the public spotlight in 2019 after a fatal boat crash involving Alex's son Paul. The family really exploded into the international spotlight in 2021 when Paul and Maggie were found shot and killed at their home in Colleton County. I need the police to handle immediately. My wife and child are shot badly. After that, a quick, rapidly spiraling series of events became public knowledge. It became known, or alleged rather, that Alex Murdaugh, for over a decade, had been stealing money from his own law partners, other attorneys, his own family members. That went on for more than a decade. He is the latest generation of a dynasty that goes back 4 generations, 100 years. The courthouse in which Alex Murdaugh will be tried, there's a portrait of his grandfather hanging in the courthouse. The judge actually had to issue an order and say, we're going to take his granddaddy's picture off the wall before we try him for murder. It's just a little tiny symbolic taste of what and who is on trial here.
So I thought that was a really super interesting little clip there that I wanted to share with you guys. That was, kind of reiterated what I mentioned here. So this is actually really good. So the trial of Alex Murdaugh began Monday, January 23rd, 2023. We'll add that in there for purposes of documentation. And we have the latest from the Colleton County Courthouse. Murdaugh will face his first charges in a long list of criminal civil allegations in the death of his wife Maggie and his son Paul on June the 7th, 2021. These two deaths were the catalyst to the ruins of the Murdaugh dynasty and the unfolding of a larger story. The Greenville News will be in the courtroom to give you the latest updates, starting with the jury selection final verdicts. So we've already saw the jury selection started, and something interesting that I do want to share about the jury selection is I was watching Law and Crime, and I do want to make sure to give full credit to Law and Crime. And Gigi, and guys, if you are on YouTube, that would be Pretty Lies and Alibis channel, was on there, and she mentioned that Murdaugh kind of made eye contact and smiled at her this morning. She also mentioned that there was 12 jurors that were potential jurors that said they could not be impartial, and they were dismissed. Many people with ties to the jury. There was also a lot of people that said that, they're aware of the case, but I did hear a expert tonight say that that's kind of a good thing to know the case a little bit, to be familiar with the case and not be a complete stranger of the case. So I am going to let this slide run while I read this. Pull it up here, guys, so that way we remember why we're here. I always feel like it's important to make sure that we remember why we're here. So to the article. So Murdaugh goes on trial over murder of wife and son. Sorry, guys. Pop up world. So this is kind of an older photo. This article is I had a date on it. Maybe it's down here. It says Associated Press, January 23rd, 2023. Waltersburg, South Carolina. The walls are caving in on Alex Murdaugh. It was spring of 2021, and Murdaugh, a South Carolina lawyer whose prominence was rooted in a legal dynasty that his family had built over generations, was about to see the legacy come crashing down. His law firm was asking about missing money. We talked about the money. He was being pressured in court to disclose his finances, potentially unraveling what prosecutors say was years-long schemes to steal millions of dollars from clients' colleagues. Then on June the 7th of 2021, Mr. Murdaugh's wife, Maggie Murdaugh, 52, and her younger of the two sons, Paul Murdaugh, 22, were shot to death on the family's expensive hunting property in the rural corner of South Carolina's Low Country. The killings went unsolved for more than a year before Murdaugh was charged with 2 counts of murder and disbarred. A stunning downfall for the man whose father and grandfather and great-grandfather all served as top prosecutors for the vast swath of the state. On Monday, the trial of Mr. Murdaugh, 54, began with the jury selection in case with combined with the brutal crime of the novelistic tale of an unraveling of a powerful family. It could take several days to whittle down the jury pool and find 12 suitable jurors. The vast majority of those interviewed on Monday said they were aware of the case and that some would be unable to set aside their opinions that they are already formed about whether Mr. Murdaugh was guilty. So that's definitely not what we want in the court of law. We want the law, we want the law to be blind, justice to be blind the way it should be, even in a case like this, as sad as it is. So, guys, this article is The Murdaugh Family, a Saga, a Tangled Web of Secrets and Murder. It's the photo that I have shown on the slide, guys. A powerful family, a deadly boating accident, 2 mysterious slayings, drug addiction, stolen money, botched shootings, and alleged insurance fraud scheme. It sounds like someone took a list of sordid elements of stuffed them all into a crime thriller so thirsty it could be only fiction. Guys, it's not fiction though. But the torturous tale of the Murdaughs and the prominent South Carolina family with shadow secrets is real and far from over. The story took fresh turns this week when investigators arrested Park Patriarch. Sorry, it's a long day. It's 10 o'clock at night. Alex Murdaugh and allegedly hiring a hitman to kill him in a failed attempt to collect millions in his life insurance for surviving son, Buster. This came 3 months after Murdaugh's wife and son were gunned down in the family's secluded estate. These events led to authorities to open investigations in several other mysterious deaths dating back years with apparent ties to the Murdaughs. Now the family legacy has the influence of crumbling. The rural area around Hampton, some 75 miles west of Charleston, is buzzing with theories. An evolving saga has inspired at least one podcast to grip amateur sleuths around the state and the nation. Around coffee shops and barber shops that have all been talking about, said Adkim and Spotto, sorry for the pronunciation, a Charleston attorney from former prosecutor, crossed paths with Alex Murdaugh. You cannot believe how things change every day. The new information that comes out is amazing because everyone is living this in real time. A mystery has indeed tangled a web of characters and events. To unpack it all, we have to go back at least 6 years. The Murdaughs have been a long potential dynasty in the part of the Carolina Low Country. A quiet stretch of farms, woods, marshlands, and small towns that feels far from removed from the tourist bustle of Charleston, or even Hilton Head, some of 60 miles south. For nearly a century, the family controlled the local prosecutor's office. Beginning in 1920, Randolph Murdaugh Sr. was the first of the three generations of the solicitors for the 14th Judicial Court, which oversees the prosecution in 5 counties. His son, Randolph Murdaugh Jr., succeeded him in the position for nearly 5 decades. Rudolph Murdaugh III, Alex Murdaugh's dad, then replaced him several through 2005, making 87 consecutive years that the family led the prosecution in the area. But even with the family no longer running the prosecutor's office, and after their connections run deep, the Murdaughs, including Alex and his younger brother Randy, have long been partners in the regional law firm with offices in 3 counties. They have focused mostly on personal injury litigation and have won big settlements for their clients. We're no different than anybody else. We've just been here for as attorneys for a long time, Randy Murdaugh. I see words like dynasty used and power, but we're just regular people. Randall Murdaugh III died in June at the age of 81, 3 days after his daughter-in-law and grandson was killed. A boat crash in the middle of the night? Murdaugh troubles, at least three in the eyes of the public, began in February of 2019. Paul Murdaugh's younger son, Alex Murdaugh, was piloting his father's motorboat with at least 5 of his friends early in the morning on February 24th when it struck a bridge on Archer's Creek near Paris Island. He was 19 at the time, at a student at the University of South Carolina. One of the passengers, Mallory Beach, also 19, was tossed from the boat. Her body was found a week later. 911 call was placed from the crash site roughly about 2:30 a.m. 3 people aboard the boat later told investigators that Paul Murdaugh was driving, although another passenger identified a different person as the driver, according to the affidavit. Investigators searching the boat found a cooler of beer along with empty cans and bottles of alcohol. Authorities charged Paul Murdaugh with the boat under the influence, causing great bodily harm, and causing Beach's death. He pled not guilty and was still awaiting trial when the tragedy struck the family again. A mother and son killed on the family estate. On June the 7th, emergency dispatchers in Colton County received a 911 call from a distraught Alex Murdaugh. He told them that he had just arrived at his family's 1,700-acre estate in Islington and an unincorporated hamlet, that to find bodies of his wife Maggie and his son Paul lying on the ground by their dog kennels. It's bad, he said. Maggie, 52, shot multiple times by a semi-automatic rifle. Paul Murdaugh, by then 22, had been shot at least twice with a shotgun. And guys, it is graphic. Like, he shot him in the face, or allegedly shot him in the face with a shotgun. Are they breathing? Asked the dispatcher. No, ma'am, Murdaugh said. The gruesome scene pointed to 2 shoulders, leaving the observers wondering if it was connected to the family's legal history. Paul Murdaugh's uncle told ABC News that he had been receiving threatening messages online since the boating accident. Alex Murdaugh, 53, denied any responsibilities in the killings, which remained unsolved. My brother loved Maggie and loved Paul like nothing else on this earth, Randy Murdaugh told ABC News. So there is no possible way that he could have anything to do with this. I can assure you. The slayings thrust the family into national spotlight and have so far baffled police. They've also brought a new scrutiny to the previous deaths of a mysterious body found on County Road. God, I have got a hair. Sorry, technical difficulties. In June, investigators probed the shooting deaths of Alex Murdaugh's wife, so they made a startling announcement. The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, which is SLED, said the opening an investigation into a 19-year-old Stephen Smith, whose body was found July 8, 2015, on a rural road some 8 miles west of the Murdaugh estate. At the time, the police said that Smith had a massive head wound and that they believed he'd been struck by a vehicle. No suspect was ever charged. Authorities have not revealed the new information led them to reopen the case in investigation into Smith's death. Smith and Buster Murdaugh, 25, were classmates and Wade Hampton High School. The Murdaughs have not been accused of wrongdoing in this case. No evidence in this case is connected with the family and Smith's death. But Smith's mother told the CNN affiliate WCIV in June that she doesn't believe her son was just a victim of a hit and run. Reopening the investigation was long overdue, Sandy Smith said. We've been waiting for this forever, she told affiliates. Stephen's always been put on the back burner. It's like nobody was looking for answers. Stephen has had no justice. And then we have the bizarre roadside shooting. Most of the summer passed uneventfully. Then on September 4th, the Murdaugh saga took yet another turn. That day, Alex Murdaugh called 911 and said he'd been shot in the head by an unidentified man changing a tire on the side of the road not far from his home. A family spokesperson said that the family expected Murdaugh to recover and asked privacy, saying the Murdaugh family had suffered through more than any other family could ever imagine. But a week later, Murdaugh admitted to authorities that he had conspired with a man identified by police as Curtis Edward Smith, a former client of Murdaugh, to kill him as a part of an insurance fraud scheme. Murdaugh had opened his surviving son, Buster, could collect a $10 million life insurance paid out. This is also according to the affidavit to support charges against Smith. Murdaugh wanted to end his life, but believed that the insurance policy had a suicide exclusion, said his attorney, who added the client wanted to protect his only living child. Murdaugh provided him Smith with a firearm and told him to shoot him in the head, the affidavit said. Murdaugh also announced that he had resigned from his law firm following allegations that he had misappropriated funds and said he was entering rehab for one of his attorneys later specified was an addiction to opioids. The murders of my wife and son have caused me an incredibly difficult time in my life, Murdaugh said in a statement. I've made lots of decisions that I truly regret. Then the mystery deepened even further. A housekeeper's fatal fall. And guys, like I said, she wasn't just a housekeeper. She was with them for 20 years, so she was also a nanny. On Wednesday, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division said it was opening a criminal probe into the February 2018 death of Gloria Satterfield, a housekeeper who spent more than 2 decades with the Murdaugh family. Satterfield, 57, died in Murdaugh Estate, who was declared at the time as a trip and fall accident. According to the attorney, Eric Flynn, who's representing her estate, and guys, he's savage. Like, I really like him a lot. I've seen him a couple times. Slid said that it was opening investigation based upon the request from the Hampton County coroner and the highlights and consistencies of the ruling Satterfield's manner of death, as well as the information gathered during the ongoing probes involving Alex Murdaugh. The coroner's request said that no autopsy was performed on Satterfield, that on the death certificate the manner of death was ruled as natural, which is inconsistent with the injuries sustained in the trip and fall accident. This week, Bland also filed a civil lawsuit alleging Murdaugh proposed the housekeeper and 2 sons to sue him so that way they could collect the money from the mother's life insurance settlement. Murdaugh then introduced the 2 sons to a fellow attorney to represent them in the lawsuit. Without disclosing them to an attorney, was a close friend, Bland said. Satterfield's son received a partial settlement of $505,000, but yet has not seen any of it to date, the lawsuit states. And the twists and turns may be far from over. Alex Murdaugh has been charged with insurance fraud, conspiracy to commit insurance fraud, filing false police report. His license has been suspended. It's such a crazy circumstance of events. The Charleston attorney, Anastapopo, and I don't want to mess up his name, no disrespect. People that known him, the Murdaughs, are extremely shocked that this happened because he was a well-respected attorney. Murdaugh was arrested Thursday and appeared in court in handcuffs before being released on bond. The redhead, known as a Big Red, looked thinner and grayer and had a previous family snapshot. At one point, he appeared to wipe tears from his eyes. In the statement of CNN, the attorneys Dick Harpootlian and Jeff Griffin said that their client is not without fault. but they blame his issues on an opioid addiction. These individuals took advantage of his addiction and the ability to pay substantial funds for illegal drugs, his attorney said. One of those individuals took advantage of his mental illness and agreed to take Alex's life by shooting him in the head. Murdaugh announced that a $100,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the parties responsible for the deaths of his wife and son. Meanwhile, the criminal investigation continued on multiple fronts. Reporters are scouring the region for anyone who may have insight to the Murdaughs, and everyone wonders what's coming next. Okay, so this article, I believe, was the article that is about Miss Gloria Satterfield. Yeah, this is the one about Gloria. And this cat here says little co-conspirator there. And so I said she was there to pick up her paycheck. And it goes on to talk about she was a long-time domestic worker, Gloria's younger son, and then her older son. And I'm not going to read their names out. Victims are victims. Okay. So it says when she fell ascending from the front stairs of the Murdaugh Moselle home, or was it their Holly Street house in the collection county, or was it Hampton? Gloria was tripped or pushed by either Bubba, Bourbon, Blue, or Sassy, or maybe none of them. Okay. The fall caused Maggie Murdaugh to wake up sometime after 9 a.m. She awakened her son Paul, who was sleeping, and called 911 at 9:24 a.m. Alex Murdaugh said that he was at work at the time, 20 minutes away, and his wife called him at 9:45 to tell him about the fall. He rushed to the scene, arriving to the emergency technicians who were there around 9:41 a.m. Before Alex arrived, Paul tried to sit Gloria up, and someone told him to turn her loose, so she fell back over. When Alex arrived, Gloria was sitting on the stairs, but also he helped Paul sit her on the stairs. After her fall, and before EMTs arrived, Gloria was speaking gibberish and unable to form words, and lucid enough to tell a single person, the same person who allegedly orchestrated a plan to steal $4.3 million from her family, that the dogs tripped her up. Miss Satterfield made no such statement or later told the hospital staff that she did not know why she had fallen. Okay, and then this just goes on to talk about so Alex Murdaugh in the case. Gloria sustained a right-sided head laceration, a right-sided subdural hematoma, a traumatic brain injury, multiple left side, proprietor rib fractures, and partially collapsed lung, and a preliminary contusion. As you may know, a traumatic brain injury can cause anesthesia and pre-incident activity and some post-incident activity. Prior to her death in February 26, 2018, she had surgery to repair her broken ribs and to reconstruct her chest wall, and was removed significant blood from her chest cavities. Her final days were clearly not easy. Wow, dude, so this lady really went through it. Oh man, I did not mean to close that. Hang on, let me open it back up, guys. Because it had a really good clip I wanted to share. See, that's what happened. You get all clicky happy. I should have grabbed the link.
9.
Hopefully it'll play fair. There we go.
9:24 a.m. 38 seconds, February 2, 2018.
Come here. 911, where's your emergency? 4147 Moselle Road.
Okay, can you give me the address one more time, make sure I got it right?
Yes, 4147 Moselle Road.
Okay, what's going on out there?
I'm sorry?
What's going on out there?
My housekeeper has fallen and her head is bleeding. I cannot get her up.
Okay, you said she's fallen. She's bleeding from the head?
Yes.
Okay. How old is she?
I'm not sure, like 58 maybe.
Do you know if she fell from standing or not?
No.
Where'd she fall from?
She fell going up the steps, up the brick steps.
Okay, so she outside or inside?
Outside.
Okay. How many steps is there?
8.
Okay, is she on the ground or is she up near the
She's
top?
on the ground. She's on the ground. She's on the
Is
ground.
she conscious?
No, not really.
Is she awake at all?
Yes.
Okay. Is she just not like responding appropriately, but she is awake?
Ma'am, she's not responding.
Okay, I've already got them on the way. Me asking questions does not slow them down, ma'am. Knowing if she's conscious is one of the things that the medic needs to know. If she's responding
Not
at
really.
all to you.
No.
Okay, so she's not responsive at all.
Well, I mean, she's mumbling.
Okay, so she is somewhat conscious. Is she breathing okay?
Yes.
Is she bleeding from anywhere?
Yes, her head.
Okay, are you guys able to control the bleeding?
No.
Can you
I
put
haven't
a
even
clean
tried.
rag or anything on it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, is she bleeding from like her face, the back of the head,
I've got
the
an
neck?
ambulance coming. Sir, my name what?
Where exactly is she bleeding from on her head?
I'm not sure. At the top of her head.
Okay.
What's it?
Okay.
Oh, gosh.
What happened?
She just fell back down. Can I get off this phone so I can go down there?
Can I have your name and phone number? Or are you able to bring the phone down by her?
What?
Or are you on a cell phone where you can walk down there
I'm
and
on a
talk?
cell phone. No.
Okay, can you bring it with you so we can ask her some questions about what kind of pain she's having?
Hello?
Yeah, can you ask the patient what kind of pain she's having?
Ma'am, she can't talk.
Okay, do you know,
She's cracked her head and there's blood on the concrete and she bleeds out of her left ear.
okay, she's bleeding out of her ear.
And out of her head. She's cracked her skull.
Okay. All right, the other lady said that she had tried to stand up and fell down again.
No, I was holding her up. And
Okay.
she told me to turn her loose and she was trying to use her arm, but then she fell back over.
Okay, do you guys know who she is?
Yes, she works for us.
Okay, do you know if she's ever had a stroke or anything before?
Ma'am, can you stop asking her the
I
questions?
already have them on the way. Me asking questions does not slow them down in any way. These are relevant questions that I have to ask for the ambulance. One of my questions is, has she ever had a stroke?
I don't believe she's ever had a stroke now that I know
Okay. Okay, is she able to talk to you guys at all, or is she unconscious now?
She's not unconscious. She's just mumbling.
Okay.
I believe she's maybe hit her head and maybe has a concussion or something.
Okay.
Maybe.
Do you know what her name is?
Gloria Satterfield.
You said Sanderfield?
Ma'am?
You said Sanderfield?
Satterfield.
Satterfield. Okay, what's the house look like out there?
It's offset off the road.
Okay.
It's a big house, got a long driveway.
With a long driveway?
Yeah,
Is there a gate or anything down there that they're going to need to come through?
There's two big brick columns that have to come through.
Okay, but there's no, like, date code or anything that they need?
No, ma'am. And tell them that they can look for a fellow on a 6x6 Ranger.
Okay.
Waiting on them in the road is green. You know what they probably know what the Ranger looks like.
Yeah. You said, like,
Fella's
green.
got on a black sweater, a
Okay.
hat, and pants.
Okay. All right. If something changes with her, if she loses consciousness or anything like that, I need one of you guys to call me back right away, okay?
Okay, well, how long is it going to take? Because it's took us
That I don't know. I've had them on the way since Maggie first called me. They were toned right away.
Okay.
All right, but I think they're coming. Hang on 1 minute. Let me check. They're coming from somewhere on Belt Highway in Ruffin, okay? That's where their station is.
Thank you.
All right, but like I said, if something changes, call me back.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Alright, guys, so that was the 911 call from Miss Gloria's fall. And I apologize, I'm on swamp signal here, so it's trying to load up. So, as I promised, we would talk about the surviving son. So, Richard Buster Murdaugh, 26, living in a modest $180,000 condo on Hilton Head Island with his longtime girlfriend. And I'm not getting into that, but why I do feel like it's important to talk about him is because part of this case does involve the fact that his father was willing to commit a crime to make sure that he would be okay. And he supports his father. There are Joe phone calls that you guys can listen to, and it's a little heartbreaking. So everybody mourns differently, but I don't know if I could do it. So that was my update and kind of background of the Alex Murdaugh legacy, dynasty, murder, mystery, money, drug addiction, crazy circus. But as always, guys, I thank you for watching, and remember to always, if you see something, say something. It takes a village to raise a child. Never give up. And if you guys enjoy my content, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button, that like button, and share out this video. It really helps the channel a lot. And everybody have a great night.